Hey guys, I hope you're well. This video is actually supposed to be posted back in 2022, but I forgot about it, didn't have enough storage on my phone, take your pick, it was one of those options. But no, seriously, like doing a dance degree was so full on. My phone was struggling for storage the entire time. So now a year after I've graduated, here is a video that I made in first term of first year. It is meant to just be like a little documentary of my process as a choreographer of like creating a full threading piece. Obviously, at the end of my degree, a year afterwards as well, I'm much more established in myself as an artist. My process is so much more different, a lot more reliable. So I'm able to actually just like have a formula that helps me create like no matter what. At this time, I was still trying to figure out what my process was, how I create, and so I wanted to kind of document that and share it with people online. I think whilst I'm different now as a person and as an artist, I think it's still so valid the way that like I used to create back in the day, and it was just like a very organic process, and so hopefully it helps some embryo artists out there. Good old phrase, I used to be one. So I hope that you guys enjoy, because this definitely feels like a little time capsule going back into the brain of me when I was 19. So in creating this piece, I started during a class, during improvisation. I created some pathways that I thought were quite cool, and I wanted to recreate them, as you can see here. My next step was to improvise more with the theme that I kind of had going on, and the theme was threading. I'd never fully made like a full soul threading piece before. Like I use it as a technique and as a tool, but I've never like fully done a full threading piece, and the idea of that kind of like scared but also intrigued me, so I definitely wanted to continue on with that theme, so did lots more improv with threading. So this video is going to be a bit longer than I normally would make it, because I just want you to see kind of like the rawness of me creating. I'm considering a lot, I'm thinking, and I think part of trying to communicate what the process is like for me is you witnessing me figuring it out. Now, one of the limitations of threading is the fact that you can't travel, because you usually have to be on one spot unless it's just your arms threading. Like your feet are kind of like planted, or you're sat, or you're rotating like on a point. And so my next thought was to try and make threading travel. So I did a lot of like experimenting with how I could make it move around. I really didn't realise until editing this video how much I'm like locked in when I'm doing threading and improvising. Like sometimes I haven't even noticed that the music stopped, like I'm just there, I'm present, I'm with my body, that's all I care about. As you can see, I've gotten into a bit of a rhythm, like I've found a pathway that feels nice, looks good, but then I keep getting to this end bit and I just don't know where to go from, and this is where I'm like stuck in a rut for a bit. I think a big part of creation is the in-between moments. And so I actually think a lot of my creation came from the percolating in between the actual studio sessions that I had. So whilst I was in other classes, it was all kind of like ruminating in my head, lots of different ideas. When we were working with lots of different like dance styles as well, more ideas of how I could take foundations from these styles and mix it with threading were kind of like all going on in my head. So whilst this isn't me like actually working on the choreography, the working on the choreography was happening in my brain. Something that I really love about watching myself figuring out is like how obvious the next move is meant to be, but you just don't figure it out. So here's me finally figuring out what the hell I was meant to do, and to me it was obvious from the beginning, but at the time clearly not. Me trying to remember what the hell I just did. Threading is genuinely like a form of meditation. Like, you never know how peaceful you can be with yourself in silence until you thread, and then you realize that like you've not even paid attention to any sounds in the outside world. Like, it's genuinely very therapeutic. I recommend. I'm a very like patchwork choreographer, like still to this day. I think the order comes from the end. And so I usually like to figure out how to thread things together. Thread, haha. How to thread things together after the fact, because then the whole journey makes a lot more sense. Right here, I didn't have like a storyline. It was purely just like movement for like what I wanted. However, there were like little checkpoints of the things that I did want to do. These checkpoints I kind of started like placing with markers to the music, and so every single time making something, I was then trying to like match it to somewhere in the song to kind of like make it make sense. This is where it got painful for me because I was struggling to figure out the end of this thread. Like, I got to a point, I kept getting to it, nothing was coming to my head. I like truly like reached a stalemate. But I think in these moments it's important to just keep experimenting and keep pressing on to see what you can find, because the only way forward is to go forward.
Use all of their characters and all of their music, and I'm just allowed.
Art is truly created in silence, because I can't believe how much I didn't listen to music during this entire time. Like, watching it back, it looks insane. Like, absolutely nothing going on. Like, you can probably hear crickets, like, outside. The next part of my process was like figuring out blanks with like improvisation until it became set. So I would have these checkpoints in the music and these checkpoint moves, and in between I would just improvise. And I think that kind of forces you to have a set thing, and then it helps you figure out the moments around the set thing. So for example, transitions, I'm like historically when I was 19 was not the greatest at. It helped me like figure out different transitions from one checkpoint out, and there's like something's going on, and then there's another checkpoint. I think this for me is still an integral part of my process. So having checkpoints and then improvising around them until it makes sense. I think is a really good way of unlocking embodied dance knowledge. Hell yeah, London Contemporary Dance School degree coming in clutch. No, but seriously, I think sometimes things make more sense in the body than it does trying to figure them out in the brain. Having just said that, now it was time for me to mentally figure out what was going on with the rest of the piece. However, with threading, there's the added thing of you need to also find your pathways. So I did a lot of trying to figure out pathways mentally. That is a lot of videoing, rewatching, recreating. And as an artist who at the time I didn't know was dyspraxic, I do now, it was so difficult watching a video and trying to untangle what I'm looking at and then retangle my body to recreate it. But I think these moments are like the most important ones. I mean, being a self-taught dancer, like a lot of my life, that kind of like autonomous figuring out stuff process, I think just like makes me who I am as a dancer and as an artist. So this figuring out the pathways, I think this was so integral for the rest of my career. So I'm really glad that I did this. And then as we get closer to the end, obviously I might have some gaps and I won't know what to fill it with. But I will just keep doing some like rough runs until the choices that I make in between, like everything that's set, feels right. So if my body's automatically going to a certain move multiple times, hey, that's the move I'm meant to go with. Things feeling right to me as an artist is like very important. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and then you enjoyed this little insight into the 19-year-old embryo artist brain that I had. I can definitely do a video about what my process is like now, because it is very different, like I said, very much more set. I understand exactly what my brain does. I know about, like, my style is like quite frantic, so I need to have moments of breathing and organic imagery. I can go into this another time. So if you guys are interested in me talking about my process, now that I know that I'm neurodivergent, it all makes sense, guys. It all makes sense. I understand why my brain does what it does. I understand that, like, my closed eye hallucinations, that kaleidoscope in my brain is what causes me to, like, create choreography. And it's so fascinating to me. And I can give you some science as well behind it. The joys of being a disabled artist are true. They're real. And I would love to share that with you guys sometime. So let me know if you'd be interested. But that will do it for this video. Hopefully see you guys soon. I don't know what I'm doing on my YouTube channel these days, but hopefully something. Peace and love. Mwah.